Cool. Okay, so welcome to this month's WeDoWind Open Data Exploration Group. Very quick agenda, basically discussions at Wind Europe and presentation results. Open data, there's been some new data sets released, or data set released, so thought best to highlight that. And then the main point of this call is to discuss potential challenges for the future that we can work on. So a kind of prep call for future challenges. Before all of that, though, maybe we'll just do a quick round of introductions. There's a couple of new people on this call. So I'm Charlie, I work for WeDoWind, we invest in renewable assets. And then I'm kind of leading this group. I focus on trying to get people to open data, share experience, share knowledge. And that's kind of the idea of this group too. I'll go down the list that I've got on the right of people. So Ola, you're next.
Yeah, hi guys. So my name is Ola as well. I work for WeDoWind. Charlie's my manager. Yeah, interested in data and data systems and interconnected data.
Cool. Chris.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris Johnson. I work for Kudo Software. We provide software solutions for renewable energy projects. I'm quite active in a range of different things around wind energy digitalization, and also worked crossing paths with Charlie on a number of other things.
Yep. Can I say Jesse?
Yeah, it's Jesse. Hi, nice to meet you all. So I'm Jesse. I am a startup founder, working in the wind energy space now for almost 5 years. I think we do software solutions as well. So we work a lot with SCADA data, and as well several R&D projects where we measure vibrations on wind turbines, onshore and offshore. And I would like this opportunity to, let's say, work a little bit more outside of my team and as well explore other data problems, because mainly my team is working on it, but I do love to work on it as well as a side project as well to increase my skill level.
Cool, very good. Yep, sounds like you've come to the right kind of group. So yeah. That's good. Thanks, Jesse. Johnny?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Johnny. I am a senior renewables engineer at Boxkite, which is a company. It's about 3 years old that provides an online platform for energy yield assessments. So we use a lot of open source data and extract value from it to help with energy yield assessments. That's why I'm here.
Thanks. Brian?
Howdy, I'm Brian Kramak. I work for DNV currently. Previously, I've worked for UL, AWS True Power, a company called Intertech. I've done wind turbine certification, operational assessments, energy assessments. That's what I'm currently working on. And I've been in the energy field for 40 years. So I've been around the block.
I wouldn't have guessed it was quite so long, Brian. You're doing well.
Yeah. This is big 6-0 for me this year. So I'm
oh, wow.
I was gonna let my beard grow gray and actually claim the gray beardness of my age, but it's I can still keep up. So I'm not. Don't put me out to pasture yet.
Very good. Few years left in you, still to go. So that's good. And Sarah. Don't know if you can do the call. No, good.
It's a bit difficult for me to talk about right now, but I'm writing a lot in the chat, so Nice to meet you all. If you've got any questions about WeDoWind, or you've got any data sets you want to share or challenge ideas, then I'm the person to talk to.
Yep, fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, so Sarah runs the WeDoWind community, if you don't know. So manages everything. All right, so the next thing on my list was just to talk a bit about Wind Europe, which I was at last week. I think a couple of you were there too. So during that, I did present the results from the kind of static yaw misalignment, but predict the wind speed challenge that we ran in November, December last year. And got fairly good reception from that. People were interested. Everyone stuck their hands up when I said, who wants to, improve wind farm performance and who wants to collaborate more? So everyone wants to do it. It's just people maybe a bit too shy to join this group or something, or there's not enough time maybe in the day. Could be that second one. But it was good to have some conversations, and I did a round of the like exhibition space as well. And to be honest, it sounds like lots of people want to do more collaboration and sharing of data and information. So it's just about pushing that agenda onto people and giving them, in my view, more like direct tasks. So when someone says, yeah, I'd like to share more data, to actually push them to say, okay, so what can you actually share? That was kind of like my take. Everyone's open to collaboration. Everyone's open to sharing data. It's just it's not in people's day job. So it's getting them to step out. Any other takes from Wind Europe or what I just said there? Cool. Then I'll jump onto the big announcement, which is we do now have some additional SCADA data from, released by RES, but the wind farm's owned by Trig. So this was by Alex Clark. And RES are going to set up a WeDoWind challenge probably in May, based on the data set that I'll just share now. So let me put.
There's actually a space already being created, but I would advise not to read that space yet because it's still in draft. But there should be I think we're doing the launch webinar like in May, or the date of the launch webinar is actually in the space, and that's the right date. I can't remember what the date is, but you can have a look on WeDoWind.
Cool. I'll
publish that one. The challenge description is not actually in there yet.
Oh, look, join us. So I'll just share this link here so you've got it. Oh, new activity. It might have worked. So if you haven't joined up to this community, then Open Data Exploration is under the Collaborative Problem Solving community. And I've put the link in the chat. Also for these events, on the Open Data Exploration space, there's like challenge descriptions that you can look through, the feed where you can post stuff, and then you can see the members. What I wanted to point out though was the events space. So for these meetings, it would be good if you like RSVP on this list, just because we might change the meeting invites at some point, and this will have the most up-to-date link. And you can also then sync these events to your calendar. So if they change at all, then it will update on your Outlook or whatever system you're using. There we go. Bit of
How do you
admin.
do that actually? How do you do that?
Yeah, so if you go view events and then add to calendar, you can choose to add only that event that you've clicked on, or you can sync to calendar. And then you can choose to get all the events. I think this covers every event that we've got in Mighty Networks, or just the ones that you've RSVP'd to. And then for me, using Outlook, then you just copy this web link. Cool. Okay. So yeah, and we'll use this space to do any discussions as well. So you can post on the feed or in the chat. So yeah, hopefully straightforward. So going back, yeah, we've got a new open data set released by Res on behalf of Trig. Creative Commons, all you have to do is cite the data set if you want to use it. That's basically the rule. And we've got a lot of data from 2016 to 2024. What I think is most exciting about this data set is that it includes dates when upgrades were made to the turbines. So we should be able to see if the performance upgrades have actually done what they claimed they should have done, or rather we can just see if the performance has changed post these upgrades. So I expect Res's challenge will be linked to this in some way when it comes. What Res have also done, which is really nice, is they've created a notebook, a Jupyter notebook. So you can follow the link from Zenodo to GitHub, where it's hosted. And then you can see some of the basic analysis that they've done already. And this can help you get started if you've not done much analysis of wind farm SCADA data before. So I've also posted that as a link in the group chat. Cool. Any questions about that? That'll be a proper launch. Let's see if we've got in the group. Yeah, there we go. Challenge registration. Is it under events? Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, that's the right date for the event. But I think
That's
the
right.
challenge description is not in there yet properly. But so I think we will do a proper announcement within the next weeks.
Yeah. If you want to get ahead though, you can sign up now. So Brian, you got your hand up?
Yeah. Just a quick question on the area itself. Is this would this site be subject to any significant amount of icing, or I don't have a good feel for this region?
Good question. So there should be some icing because this is up in Scotland.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm not certain though. See if it was in the description. Oh, back to.
So I think the IEA TAS 54 is looking to do an update on the TAS 19 icing study or icing software. And
oh yeah,
this might be a good candidate, especially given the length of the operational period.
Yeah, it doesn't state anything about icing as far as I can tell.
Okay.
But my guess would be that this site has experienced icing.
Yeah, okay, very good. Thank you.
Cool. Okay. Any more questions about the open data? No, cool. So the next point of this call is to try and make it a bit more interactive. So less of me talking, because the idea is to brainstorm what challenge we want to work on next. So we've got, we've got this new data set that we could use. We've also got the Cubico, Kelmarsh, and Pemminshield datasets that we've used previously. And then we've also got some data from a turbine in Switzerland. In fact, Sarah's just posted up in the chat again, where we could also even change control settings or parameters on that turbine to test things. So one follow-up of our static yaw misalignment challenge that we did previously could be to use this turbine in Switzerland to purposefully put in some static yaw misalignments and then compare before and after and see if we can identify the misalignment that we applied knowingly. So let's see if I can create. Stop sharing doesn't let me share a whiteboard. Doesn't seem to be letting me share a whiteboard.
You could just make a Google slide quickly and share the screen on the Google slide if you want.
Yeah.
That's what I always do, but okay.
I would do that, but I'm blocked from Google Slides. It's all it's a bit of a pain.
I'll just create a PowerPoint presentation and then use just do it on your screen with some
do it on my screen.
Some PowerPoint, and then you can do a screenshot and share it with that.
Yeah, I'll do that. Cool. So I like it when other people can join in. Gonna let me? Nope.
Just have to do it yourself.
Yep, just have to do it myself. So I'll start off with the effectively the proposal from Sarah to a degree that we've already discussed a bit, which is static yaw misalignment validation. With okay. And I encourage everyone to unmute and just say what you're thinking. Use of.
Well, I think that potential experiment sounds really interesting. I would definitely be interested in that. I think one interesting aspect of that would also be if you get the high frequency data, and then you could do something. You could use the high frequency data, and then you could see if you could replicate the results based on low frequency data. Because I think it's one of the challenges of static yaw misalignment based on SCADA data signals is I think there's a kind of an open question mark whether you can get to meaningful precision with 10-minute data.
Yeah.
So if you've got the high resolution data and the 10-minute data, you could to could do both. And one idea I thought about there as well is you could do something like you did with the other Kaggle challenge. If there's a kind of a public data set, and then there's a kind of a private data set at the end that you can do the evaluation. If we make it a bit more like if we make it a bit more like a kind of competition, friendly competition, of course, but
yeah. Yeah, maybe we don't want to do like a 10-degree yaw misalignment. We do a like 8.54 degree misalignment and see who gets closest. So yeah, I think static yaw misalignment is quite
I guess that's maybe you need to do some thinking to see how you would, like, if everyone knows what the misalignment is.
Or I was thinking you don't tell people, you just do it and then provide the data, and then there's a ground truth, but no one else.
I think if people want to use machine learning models, you'll have to have some cases where it does happen and you know it's happening, and then you've got you've got a measurement period where you know what the changes are, and then you've got a measurement period which is like the test period where you don't tell them what the changes are. That's what we have to do, isn't it?
Yeah, that is what we'll have to do. Yep.
But can someone say something about how long I would have? Like, I'm finding it difficult. We have to go to the turbine to do these changes because it's got some old control system that you have to like put in by hand on an old computer with some old code, programming code, and so you have to go and do it. But like, I can't have the wind turbine operating in like 20 degrees yaw offset for a long time. It might like break or something. So like, what's your feelings of like how long I have to measure for, how many measurements I need, and how many different angles, and what the angles should be?
Well, I think ideally you want to capture a kind of a reasonable wind speed and wind direction range. I suppose it depends. It's a bit like doing a power curve test where you can be lucky or unlucky. I'd imagine you want to do like a few weeks or something like that. And maybe I wouldn't do 20 degrees. Maybe more like 10, maybe more like 10 degrees.
And how many different ones? I mean, it's easy to do a week because then you can go there once, change it, go away, come back a week later, change it again. Like, I could do that 5 times for 5 different weeks. Like, it's just a matter of sending a student. I mean, sending someone to change the controller.
You want to like 5, 10, and then 0? That is a 5-week campaign.
Yeah.
Plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10.
And the other problem is that I think I've got, as I showed in that plot, it looks like we've got an unknown yaw offset as well. Like, that plot is just a frequency distribution of the last day or something of the turbine.
So it looks like it's already targeting a non-zero value. Yeah.
So I need to solve that problem as well.
That looks like it is kind of 10 degrees-ish as well, so not insignificant.
And how is the offset here calculated?
It's just the measured wind direction on the nacelle.
Against the nacelle position.
No, it's just the relative.
Well,
so if you have the wind, if you measure the wind direction on the nacelle, you're actually measuring your offset because you're measuring the difference between the nacelle position and the wind. Like, you're not measuring the absolute.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it could be like if the wind vane was installed 10 degrees off, right? The controller would think it was 0, and it would be 10. But this data wouldn't know that. Like this data, like this looks like the controller is actually telling it it's got to
targets minus 10
it's
degrees.
got to aim at minus 10 because the person who did the controller thinks that, or maybe it's true, maybe there is an offset between the installed position, and so maybe the offset is really 10 degrees off from that, but we don't know that because it's been put into the controller as a, I don't know. That's why I say I have to kind of work that out somehow. Is that the real offset, or is the offset value wrong? I think I might be able to work that out by if I plot the frequency distribution of the power production. Surely I should see a maximum at the real 0, right?
So this is where it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Maybe comparing the power from the two machines. But basically, you need that independent measurement of the wind speed. Because otherwise, if you like plot the power output, well, you've got to plot it at a given wind speed, for instance.
Yes.
And then if there's a bias in the wind speed, then you end up biasing your. But with the neighboring turbine, perhaps you could use the power from the neighboring turbine or the wind speed from the neighboring turbine and hope it's independent of the yaw error on this machine.
Yeah. Okay, but whatever, that problem will have to be somehow worked out before we can in parallel try to work out that problem while doing this measurement campaign, but somehow that problem has got to be sorted out.
Well, it's actually, it could be quite good because maybe your turbine at the moment is 10 degrees out, and through doing this analysis with set static yaw misalignment, so we can then see a shift in the power, and maybe the power goes up rather than just down because there was an offset originally.
Yes. But that could be part of the challenge. I mean, that would be kind of a realistic situation, wouldn't it? If you're trying to actually do this task,
so the challenge
for your
could
company.
actually help you.
Yeah, but the challenge, part of the challenge could be this thing that we're discussing now.
Yeah, and I think it's not uncommon in other data sets as well. So I think most of the time when you get the wind direction signal, it's been kind of already combined with the nacelle position to give it not relative to the nacelle, but in an absolute sense. But it's quite common that the two would not tend toward to 0, that there is some kind of inherent offset there that is accounted for in how it's being controlled, like that the kind of the target of the controller is not 0 but some offset value.
Do other people in the call have an opinion about this idea?
I think as well, because it's going to be fairly short campaigns, then this will switch from being like 10-minute SCADA data, because we probably won't get enough data points, would be my expectation over a week. But since we got 1 Hertz data, we can still do the analysis and try and determine the correct or the correction required to the static yaw misalignment.
I mean, it can also measure for longer than a week, but it's just like the longer we measure for, the longer it'll take. I mean, obviously.
yeah, that's it.
Or we could do 2, right? We could do.
And maybe
1.
that's.
Maybe that's gone.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that's it. Maybe we do this for like 5 weeks, use the high frequency data, identify the misalignments, assuming we can, and then say, okay, well, can we transfer this understanding or knowledge into use of 10-minute SCADA data, and over what period do we need to then measure to get a good result? And like this is good anyway, because maybe it tells you need to collect higher frequency data from your turbines if you want to do these campaigns to correct static yaw misalignments.
Yeah.
And that's not unfeasible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good plan. Because then you could get a bit more granularity, and with the high frequency data, I think that 1 week interval should be enough, unless you somehow have
It's not windy.
a week of really low wind, or a week of very little variation.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah,
I mean,
I think that's a good
I'll try
project.
it. I'll try it and see what happens.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen is that we find out that it doesn't work, and then we do a different measurement campaign.
Yeah, and I think it's a good challenge. Nice use of data, relevant to the industry. Okay. All right, I'll chuck out some other ideas, see how they land.
And maybe
so
maybe that would be, I don't know, but I'm just thinking out loud now. No, there's some companies that offer these types of solutions to do static yaw misalignment based on SCADA data. So maybe we could try and get some of them to participate in the benchmark. I suspect maybe some will be a bit protective about their algorithms, and it might not be all like sharing code, but even if there are some participants or some contributions that are kind of more close, I think that would still be interesting to kind of to see and get a benchmark.
Yep. Yep, cool. Okay, so sure. Yeah, Brian's just dropped for a customer call. Yeah, also if you want to contribute to you can contribute just in the chat if that's easier. One other idea I had was NREL have the OpenOA library. They also have another, like a full set of tools, open source tools, but OpenOA is focused on operational analysis. And I was wondering if this group would be a good group to develop that code further. So trying to focus on some of the issues that have already been like highlighted in the GitHub repository, but no one's really got time to work on. And unfortunately, at the moment, NREL has lost funding for this project, although there's still 2 people keen to support it within NREL. So they're looking for wider support from the wind energy community to maintain and develop things. So yeah.
Charlie, my comment about that was that tomorrow we're meeting to talk to the Swiss Data Science Centre, because for those of you who don't know it, we've got some funding to develop some infrastructure around WeDoWind. So that means specifically a data science platform, or maybe not a data science platform, but a procedure for committing to GitHub in some sort of standardized way, and also an open data platform. And sorry about that background noise. And actually, one of the ideas that they suggested was using a known existing code and using this project to update it, and then going through like a use case and working out how to do that in the proper way, like how to set up procedures or methods within WeDoWind so that's like a thing that gets done like that can be scaled to other topics. So we can talk about that more tomorrow as well, but I think we should do that. I don't know whether we can combine this with this topic of static yaw misalignment as well, maybe.
Yeah, so in OpenOA, there is a static yaw misalignment module. And the issue with it is that it relies on the nacelle measured wind speed. So that does need updating to make it work. So we could, yeah, feasibly combine it with a kind of campaign-based validation, and then the result of that can feed into OpenOA as a toolbox that then anyone could use. Any thoughts from the group?
I think that's a really good idea as well, and I like. I also like the idea of doing something combined with that Swiss data science or Sarah. What I don't know. I might have gotten the name incorrectly, but anyway, to combine it with that project, and I know, if I'm not mistaken, Eric Simley's been active in this group a bit in the past, and maybe we could do like one focused meeting, take one monthly meeting and focus on that and ensure he's around as well, and discuss how we might be able to do that. But I think that's like if some of the issues that need resolving there can be kind of condensed down to chunks of work that you could do without committing a huge amount of time, I think that's that could be really interesting. And if we can do it all combined with static yaw misalignment in an initial iteration, seems like a good way to start.
Yeah, it combines a few different things.
I also think we can definitely get Eric on board. Like he's part of the WeDoWind working group. Like I think we can, and he's interested in further developing WinDoWind ODE, OpenOA. So I think we can get him on board for this. We talked about it for years, having OpenOA as a more concrete part of the WeDoWind challenge.
Yeah.
So I think we should do it.
Yeah, gives a good opportunity, combine forces. Yeah, so if you search for OpenOA, well, again, I've put the link in the chat. You'll come to here, and then there's description of how things are. There's the README docs on the right, which is pretty comprehensive. And then they've also got the examples. So somewhere in here. So we've got static yaw misalignment based on SCADA data as an example. And in fact, so this was run on NG's La Haute-Born wind farm. And actually for this wind farm, then it looks like the analysis worked pretty well. Because all the misalignments are close to 0, which is where you'd expect them to be. There's a lot of other features in this analysis, though. So the main role of it was to calculate long-term energy yields for a project, so operational energy yield analysis. And to be honest, I think there's still work to be done on that side to kind of standardize the process and reduce uncertainties, and also bridge the gap that still exists between operational performance of an asset and pre-construction. So having a good understanding of where the losses are coming from in the operational side of things should help inform the pre-construction energy yield side of things to get closer to reality going forwards. I think probably the reason OpenOA hasn't been more adopted or used more in the industry so far is just that it's got a quite steep learning curve. So the way they do the analysis, it includes Monte Carlo simulations. It includes like ingesting your data into the format that they use, which isn't particularly straightforward. But I think it's a pretty good library. Any other thoughts around developing NREL's OpenOA module library? I'll maybe split this into a few different things. So static yaw misalignments in OpenOA, I think is worth doing. Also, I think had some discussions with Samuel, who normally joins this call, but is on holiday this week. And he was talking about determining wake losses accurately for wind farms, so internal wake losses. Which I think could be useful. Again, NREL's OpenOA has a module that does that, but it's a very crude approach. So maybe we can improve it and even run a challenge related to that.
Charlie, another point about that. We had someone write not in your space, in a different space, on WeDoWind today, where I tagged you on it, about offshore, because she's like working in offshore wind energy, and she wanted to know if we've looked at any specific offshore sites. And when you were talking about these weight losses, I'm like, well, this could be, maybe we can look at this topic and try to persuade some company to provide some offshore data and then use that as an excuse to get the data, because we want to look at this wakes topic for offshore. So maybe that could be something we could combine.
Yeah.
Or we use some available offshore data. I mean, there is like the rave data and maybe some other ones as well.
There is another NREL library called Flask that goes together with Floris. So you can use Flask to kind of tune your Floris model to do. If you want to simulate wake steering, you can kind of tune your model parameters with Flask beforehand, but I think that's not like, I think that's completely separate from OpenOA, and maybe there'll be some case for marrying the two.
So is Flask then using SCADA data to determine the wake losses on site? Yep. Oh, okay.
I think that was developed by the Floris team, like very specifically for tuning the wake steering simulation model when there was operational data. So when they were looking to do a kind of an after sales kind of upgrade or deploy it on an operational asset.
Cool. Okay, I didn't know about that module.
Oh, it's still active.
I mean, we could try to.
It's been maybe.
Sorry, go
for
on.
4 or 5 years since I looked at it, but it seems like they've continued to work on it. There's some stuff a few months ago.
Some lost. Yeah.
Christian, do you know if someone, because we can easily contact the NREL people. Do you know if anyone, if this has been part of any IEA task? It's just that I'm trying to. One of the many things I'm trying to do is try to get more IEA tasks working together. So if that was an IEA task thing,
I don't know. I don't know, but it happens to be. I'm speaking with Raphael tomorrow, so I can ask him because he's been very active on Floris. So I will check.
There's no harm in pushing both directions. Like if we try to do this static yaw thing, it's going to take a while until we've got all the data and we've defined the challenge. Maybe we could, I mean, Charlie, you have to basically also say if you think it's something interesting for you, but if this general idea of weight losses, something connected to Flask, something connected to maybe some new offshore data sets with some collaboration with an IEA task, like something along those lines could be really interesting to push as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the larger the collaboration, the more interesting. And it's also nice to have a bit of variety and connection between different projects. So all good.
I mean, we did have the slight problem in previous WeDoWind spaces that we tried to do more than one challenge at the same time in a space, and it basically didn't work. Like you have to be careful to focus on one. I mean, you can focus on two things, but then you kind of have to have two separate, make it clear there's two separate groups and two separate meetings, and organize them both, and then people might get confused as to what you're doing in which one. So that would be, I mean, the other thing is this offshore topic, we could, if it gets big and people get interested in it, that could be like a separate thing. So it's obvious what, which people are doing what. But we can also think about that separately when the time comes.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I want to do with this group is to push for people to release data. So the idea of like trying to get some offshore data off a party that they'll then release is something I kind of want to do. Admittedly,
so in the in the WeDoWind working group, which Charlie are not part of, but Christian is, that's what, actually we've kind of set that now as our first priority. Try to have a strategy for actually actively going to companies and saying, look, this is what you could benefit. That's what we've done so far. Come and share your data. So if that's also one of your goals, I think that matches quite well.
Yep. Yeah, cool. Okay, any other ideas for challenges? No one's mentioned AI yet, so.
Well, in 10 minutes, we have a webinar on the use of AI, knowledge graphs for AI, if anyone's interested in that.
Well, I've got one thought, but I'll let other people speak before if there's someone else who wants to suggest something.
Jesse or Johnny, is there a challenge that you're facing at the moment that you want a group to work on for free?
Many. I think I mentioned yesterday we've got a couple of things we're working on that we can't talk about right now, which is a shame. I've just been digging into the Hill of Towie data. It's something that it's one of the public sites that we've analysed before, and unfortunately, it's I think the most consistently performing wind farm I've ever seen, which is a massive shame in terms of learning anything from it. Is there a chance that they're just showing off how well they operate wind farms by releasing that data? Because it is immaculate. It's just for 15 years been performing at exactly the same level. It's amazing. No, sorry. No challenge ideas from me at the moment that I'll let you know if I think of anything.
Yep.
Yeah, so on my side, there's a lot installations for sensors yet to come, and I'm now in a period of difficulty of installing, so there's not yet a lot of data offshore. I'm just working a lot on struggling to implement those in the first place. So nothing offshore data that I can deliver currently. It's and as well challenges. Yeah, it's a lot of non-data related challenges that I'm facing. So not particular something that I can now point at for you.
No burning ideas. Yeah, no, that's okay. But if either of you or anyone thinks of a challenge idea, feel free to share it either in these calls or on the space. You can post something in the feed or the chat. Yeah, that's cool.
May I then suggest one more?
Yeah,
one
go
more
for
thing.
it, Chris.
We might have discussed it before, but I think one source of uncertainty, one source of potential deviation between post-construction yield assessments is the long-term prediction when you building the regression model between the operational data and the long-term reference source, and then predicting the production over a longer time frame. And I was just thinking that's one part where you could actually build a kind of test where you could benchmark the results against actual values and kind of benchmark different methods. And I think that I think it's an ambitious thing to do, but if we manage to do it, to get some clarity on what actually performs better and what's the kind of spread between reasonable methods and so on. And it's maybe, if it's set up well and it's easy to participate, it's maybe like with the other Kaggle challenge that you get lots of people enjoying the competition.
Yeah, and I think that it does like that regression style challenge lends itself very well to Kaggle. So you're like, here's the current production or theoretical generation if you want to like have it at gross. Here's some open wind data sets, but you can go out and explore your own if you want a long-term reference data set. And then we hide a certain data set and say, okay, well, who can minimize the error on those estimates? Yeah, all you need to do is start picking like time resolutions. That's about it. So I do like it as a challenge. I think it's quite a good one.
Cool.
Yeah. And that one's one.
But maybe like Sarah said, we shouldn't do everything at the same time.
It also slots nicely into OpenOA as well, given that's operational analysis. And for that one, then we don't need to wait to get any data because we can just use CalMarsh or Pembrokeshire or Hill of Towie as example sites. Any other thoughts in the last few minutes? Otherwise, we can wrap up, and then this is a chance, to join an AI talk in a few minutes.
Thanks. Seriously, if anyone wants to come, I'll send you a link.
Sorry, what was the AI talk?
I'm
AI
signed up.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat.
I'll see you there.
It's about creating knowledge graphs, which are required for AI. It's about like ontologies and knowledge graphs and stuff. I just put the link on
chat. It's pretty late notice to come now, I guess, but if you actually want to come, it'd be better if you tell me. I'll send you the link to the meeting. Sorry, that link actually sends you to the registration, which means you fill out a form, and then it takes like a couple of minutes. If anyone wants to come, I can put the link to the actual event in the chat. Will I do that? If I'm really interested.
Yeah, I might join in. I'll switch from talking to listening mode.
Okay, I'll put it in.
And also to note that there's a group as part of our Win Task 43 looking at kind of building standard data model, hopefully eventually an ontology around SCADA data, so that you can kind of actually map out and provide reasonable metadata to describe what your SCADA data means in a machine readable way. So at some point when that's made some progress, I guess there'll be plenty of overlap with this group as well. And as an example, you might be able to use that to actually map your data against OpenAway, that you don't need to do that all that cumbersome mapping yourself.
Yep. Yep. All right, sounds good. Oh, thanks all for joining the call. See you around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. See ya.
See you.
Bye.